Hey guys! Well, I just want to share with you my picks for the 2012 NCAA tournament. My picks for the East bracket. There is no first round play-in game for the East bracket. Round 2. First game is Syracuse versus UNC Asheville. And my pick is Syracuse. Next game is Kansas State versus Southern Mississippi, and my pick is Kansas State. Next game is Vanderbilt versus Harvard, and my pick is Vanderbilt. Next game is Wisconsin versus Montana, and my pick is Wisconsin. Next game is Cincinnati versus Texas, and my pick is Cincinnati. Next game is Florida State versus St. Bonaventure, and my pick is Florida State. Next game is Gonzaga versus West Virginia, and my pick is Gonzaga. And the final game of round 2 is Ohio State versus Loyola of Maryland, and my pick is Ohio State. Round 3. First game is Syracuse versus K-State, and my pick is K-State. Next game is Vanderbilt versus Wisconsin, and my pick is Wisconsin. Next game is Cincinnati versus Florida State, and my pick is Florida State. And the last game of round 3 is Gonzaga versus Ohio State, and my pick is Ohio State. Round 4. First game is Kansas State versus Wisconsin, and my pick is Kansas State. And the second game is Florida State versus Ohio State, and my pick is Florida State. And the fifth round, I have Kansas State versus Florida State, and I have Florida State advancing to the Final Four. For the Midwest bracket, there are two first round play-in games. The first one is California versus South Florida, and I have California winning that one. And the second one is Lamar versus Vermont, and I have Vermont winning that one. Okay, second round. The first game is North Carolina versus Vermont, and I have North Carolina winning that one. Next game is Creighton versus Alabama, and I have Creighton winning that one. Next game is Temple versus California, and I have Temple winning that one. Next game is Michigan versus Ohio, and I have Ohio winning that one. Next game is San Diego State versus NC State, and I have San Diego State winning that one. Next game is Georgetown versus Belmont, and I have Belmont winning that one. Next game is St. Mary's versus Purdue, and I have St. Mary's winning that one. And the last game of round 2 is Kansas versus Detroit, and I have Kansas winning that one. The third round, first game is North Carolina versus Creighton, and my pick is North Carolina. Next game is Temple versus Ohio, and I have Ohio winning that one. Next game is San Diego State versus Belmont, and I have Belmont winning that one. And the final game of round 3 is between St. Mary's and Kansas, and I have Kansas winning that one. Round 4, the first game is North Carolina versus Ohio, and I have North Carolina winning that one. And the second game, I have is between Belmont versus Kansas, and I have Kansas winning that one. And round 5, I have North Carolina versus Kansas, and my pick is Kansas to advance to the Final Four. The South bracket. There is one first round play-in game, and it's between Mississippi Valley State versus Western Kentucky, and I have Mississippi Valley State winning that one. Round 2. First game is Kentucky versus Mississippi Valley State, and my pick is Kentucky. Next game is Iowa State versus UConn, and my pick is Iowa State. Next game is Wichita State versus VCU, and my pick is Wichita State. Next game is Indiana versus New Mexico State, and my pick is Indiana. Next game is UNLV versus Colorado, and my pick is UNLV. Next game is Baylor versus South Dakota State, and I have Baylor to win that one. Next game is Notre Dame versus Xavier, and my pick is Notre Dame. And the last game for round 2 is Duke versus Lehigh, and my pick is Duke. Round 3, first game is Kentucky versus Iowa State, and my pick is Kentucky. Next game is Wichita State versus Indiana, and my pick is Wichita State. Next game is UNLV versus Baylor, and my pick is UNLV. And the last game for round 3 is between Notre Dame and Duke, and my pick is Notre Dame. Round 4, the first game is between Kentucky and Wichita State, and my pick is Kentucky. And the second game is UNLV versus Notre Dame, and my pick is UNLV. Round 5, I have Kentucky versus UNLV, and my pick is Kentucky to advance to the Final Four. For the West bracket, there is one first round play-in game, and it's between BYU and Iona, and my pick is BYU. The second round, the first game is between Michigan State and LIU Brooklyn, and my pick is Michigan State. Next game is Memphis versus St. Louis, and my pick is Memphis. Next game is New Mexico versus Long Beach State, and my pick is New Mexico. Next game is Louisville versus Davidson, and my pick is Louisville. Next game is Murray State versus Colorado State, and my pick is Murray State. Next game is Marquette versus BYU, and my pick is Marquette. Next game is Florida versus Virginia, and my pick is Virginia. And the final game of the second round is Missouri versus Norfolk State, and my pick is Missouri. The third round, the first game is Michigan State versus Memphis, and my pick is Michigan State. Next game is New Mexico versus Louisville, and my pick is Louisville. Next game is Murray State versus Marquette, and my pick is Murray State. And the final game for round 3 is Virginia versus Missouri, and my pick is Missouri. Round 4, the first game is between Michigan State and Louisville, and my pick is Michigan State. And the second game is Murray State versus Missouri, and my pick is Murray State. And round 5 is between Michigan State and Murray State, and my pick is Michigan State to advance to the Final Four. For the Final Four, the first game is between Kentucky and Michigan State, and my pick is Kentucky. And the second game is between Florida State and Kansas, and my pick is Kansas. And for the national championship game, I have Kansas versus Kentucky, and my pick is Kentucky to win the national championship. So there are my picks for the 2012 NCAA tournament. So see you guys later.